She had Nelson and Jonah pulled out on her, and she was just too tough.
Caitlin Clark is upset about the screen set by Griner. Yeah, in a little bit movement with that right.
But Stephanie White needs to turn into Bobby Knight. Start throwing chairs. If a 7-foot player takes their shoulder and checks my point guard's face, I'm going to be livid. I'm going to be pissed off. 3 times, Griner took a cheap shot on Clark above the neck just this game alone. And she's done this in the past. She's hit
One moment during a heated game sparked a wave of reactions, confusion, and debate across the basketball world. Fans thought they had seen everything, but then an incident involving Caitlin Clark triggered comparisons to a controversy people still have not stopped talking about. Was it simply aggressive competition, a misunderstanding blown out of proportion, or something much bigger hiding beneath the headlines? Why are old arguments suddenly resurfacing again? And what did cameras catch that has everyone telling a completely different version of a story?
Caitlin Clark is playing out of her mind right now. The Fever just picked up a win against the Connecticut Sun in a game where the Indiana Fever actually controlled the game from start to finish. Beautiful performance from the whole team. But yo, Caitlin Clark is hooping at an insane level. The thing she did in this game, the way she cooked the Connecticut Sun players in this game was vintage. It reminded me of Iowa Caitlin. We're getting straight into it today. There were parts of this game, mainly the refs, that kind of pissed me off, but for the most part, Caitlin Clark made it a very enjoyable watching experience, and Sophie Cunningham at the end, which we will get to, sealed it all.
The most unbelievable part of this game was not the final score, the highlight plays, or even the growing rivalry that fans cannot stop talking about. The most unbelievable part was that by the end of the night, countless viewers were asking the same question: how could Caitlin Clark receive a technical foul for kicking the basketball toward an official? While so many fans believed repeated physical contact against her went largely unpunished.
Clark has been picked on and abused ever since she entered the league in 2024, and now Brittney Griner is joining in on the action after she
question spread across social media almost immediately after the game ended, and within hours, basketball fans were breaking down clips, analyzing every collision, debating every whistle, and trying to understand how one of the most physical games involving Caitlin Clark somehow produced so much controversy.
Hit her with the elbow when she played for the Dream. Nothing new. She targets Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin Clark was getting grabbed the entire game and didn't get one free throw. Not one. She also got hit in the lip, had a little bloody lip going on before any of this even started. But she balled out. 25 points, 10 for 17 shooting, 5 3 balls. This is the best Caitlin Clark we've ever seen. She could have had 20 freaking assists. Her teammates can't handle her passes yet. Hopefully the chemistry builds and everything works out just fine. But Caitlin Clark.
There are physical basketball games, there are heated rivalries, and then there are games that leave fans staring at their screens, wondering whether the referees accidentally showed up to the wrong arena. That was the feeling many people had after watching the Indiana Fever take on the Atlanta Dream in a matchup that should have been remembered for Caitlin Clark's incredible performance, but instead became another chapter in the growing controversy surrounding the treatment she receives on the court.
By the end of about a Clark show. Talk about the best in the world, Craig. The best in the world, Craig. Caitlin Clark put the league on notice. I am on a mission to destroy all of y'all's asses, even if I got a $6.4 million center that can't make a damn layup, and I got another ball hogging, jacking up shots, 2-guard named Kelsey Mitchell that gonna shoot every single time, 2 of 9 from 3, just keep shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. I got a sabotaging head coach. You can't stop me. Caitlin Clark put on an absolute show.
By the end of night, social media was overflowing with clips, slow motion replays, heated debates, and one question that seemed impossible to avoid. How could Caitlin Clark receive a technical foul for kicking the basketball toward an official? while multiple dangerous plays involving Brittney Griner appeared to go largely unpunished for many fans. The frustration had been building long before the final buzzer sounded. Throughout the game, Clark was bumped, grabbed, shoved, and hit repeatedly while trying to run Indiana's offense. Physical defense is part of basketball, and every great player has to deal with defenders trying to make life difficult. However, what angered so many viewers was the belief that the physicality crossed the line from tough defense into something far more reckless. The controversy centered largely around Brittney Griner, who was involved in several physical collisions with Clark throughout the game. Fans immediately pointed out that this was not the first time Griner had been accused of targeting Clark with excessive contact. Previous matchups had already generated criticism after incidents involving elbows, hard fouls, and contact around Clark's head and face. Because of that history, every new collision during this game received intense scrutiny.
What on that timing for the past 2 games, bruh. 32 last game, 25 this game, 10 of 17 from the field tonight, and 5 of 10 from the three-point line. What are we doing? She ain't wasting no time. You got grind on the post trying to get something going, and she ain't got nothing to show for it. So Caitlin Clark gets out in transition, and Mo Billing dimes her for an easy layup at the cup. Defense leads to offense. Caitlin Clark already said it herself. She is the best transition player in the league, and tonight she looked like the best player in the league in general. And looky here, early on in the game, you got Lexi Holt proving why she needs to be on the court, fighting for a steal here and diming AB on the perimeter, who drills a three-point jump shot. She played very well.
What made the situation even more frustrating for Clark's supporters was the fact that she was playing some of the best basketball of her professional career despite all the contact, while defenders were constantly leaning on her, grabbing at her, and attempting to disrupt her rhythm. She continued putting together an offensive masterclass. From the opening minutes, Clark looked locked in. She started the game aggressively, knocking down shots from deep and immediately putting pressure on Atlanta's defense. The moment she crossed half court, defenders were already worried about her range. The problem with defending Caitlin Clark is that every defensive strategy seems to create a new problem. If defenders play too far back, she launches three-pointers that can completely change the momentum of a game within minutes. If defenders pressure her closely, Clark finished with 25 points and knocked down 5 three-pointers, but anyone who watched the entire game knows the box score barely captured how dominant she actually was tonight. In many ways, the most impressive aspect of her performance had nothing to do with scoring, that it was her passing.
Caitlin Clark did what she had to do. Y'all should be saying thank you. Stephanie White, let's get this very clear here for the post-game, the locker room scrum, and all of that. I don't want to hear nothing about no fist. We're coming together. I don't want to hear nothing about none of that. Y'all got y'all asses bailed out by Caitlin Clark all damn game. And then Sophie, the trophy, the blonde bomber, 1/3 of Tres Leches.
Time after time, Clark delivered passes that looked like they belonged in a highlight reel. She threaded the ball through tiny windows, launched pinpoint full-court passes, and repeatedly created wide-open opportunities for teammates. Several of those passes should have resulted in assists, but missed layups and missed shots prevented her stat sheet from reflecting the full extent of her impact. There were stretches where Clark looked less like a basketball player and more like a quarterback reading a defense. She seemed to know where everyone on the court would be before they knew themselves. Point one possession would feature a deep three-pointer. The next would feature a cross-court laser pass. The next would feature a creative drive into the paint. Then she would throw a behind-the-back pass that left defenders frozen in place. Atlanta simply had no answer. Unfortunately, the physicality continued to escalate. Fans noticed Clark being held repeatedly away from the basketball. Several possessions showed defenders grabbing her arm, bumping her off her path, or using physical contact to prevent her from getting open. While some level of physical play is expected in professional basketball, many viewers felt the officials were allowing an unusually high amount of contact. The frustration reached another level when Clark appeared to take multiple hits without receiving the benefit of foul calls.
The character of Brittney Griner. This is the same woman who got caught smoking in Russia and was jailed. And then Joe Biden made a trade for the Merchant of Death.
At one point, she was seen with a bloodied lip after absorbing contact. Despite taking the hit, she continued playing at an elite level. Rather than allowing frustration to affect her performance, she responded by making more plays and keeping Indiana's offense moving. That ability to maintain composure has become one of Clark's most underrated qualities. People often focus on her shooting range because it produces spectacular highlights. People focus on her passing because it creates viral clips. People focus on her popularity because she has transformed television ratings and attendance figures. What often gets players in basketball have ever experienced, and somehow she continues to produce. The more pressure opponents apply, the more determined she seems to become. That pattern repeated itself once again during this matchup. Whenever Atlanta increased the physicality, Clark responded with another big shot. Whenever defenders tried to crowd her, she responded with another perfect pass. Whenever frustration threatened to become a distraction, she answered by making another winning play.
The technical, I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler wanted to assert himself into the game, and that was ridiculous. So,
Meanwhile, the debate surrounding Brittney Griner continued to grow. Several moments involving Griner quickly spread across social media, particularly incidents where contact appeared to occur around Clark's upper body, neck, and head area. Fans who already believed Clark receives unfair treatment from officials viewed these plays as further evidence that referees were failing to protect one of the league's biggest stars. The criticism grew louder because many viewers felt there was a double standard in how the game was officiated. That contrast became the central talking point. Viewers were not necessarily upset that Clark received a technical foul. They were upset because they believed far more serious actions had gone unpunished. From their perspective, the priorities seemed completely backwards. A minor act of frustration resulted in a technical. Repeated physical collisions produced little consequence. Whether one agrees with that assessment or not, there is no denying that millions of basketball fans were asking the same question after the game. How could the officiating appear so inconsistent?
Any shots throughout the game. First quarter, I see nothing. Second quarter, I see nothing. Third quarter, nothing. Fourth quarter, she finally started shooting, fam. She went 4 quarters, well, 3 quarters without shooting, came in and shot like that. That's why I always say keep Sophie involved, man. Keep Sophie involved. But, man, this game was closer than it needed to be, y'all. Way closer than it needed to be. And shout out Caitlin, man. Look at this, 25 points, 10 for 17, and 5 for 10 from the 3 off no free throws. I was having a discussion with somebody. They was like, yeah, man, I see Caitlin getting points off of the free throws. I would rather her make her field goals. There it is, dog. There it is. I told you, Caitlin, she's going to cook up. All right? She's getting there. Once again, she's getting in that mode. I see it. But, this team have to hit those open shots.